This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Suzanne Miller, last night the city voted on freezing rents. I just want to know your reaction and the reaction of the residential landlords.
John, it's not pretty. So I raised an alarm about this last year, if you recall. He did what he said he was going to do. He won the election by this policy. If you freeze 1 million apartments, that figure 2 people live in an apartment, that's 2 million votes. Stacked the board. It was a 7-to-1 freeze on 1 to 2 year leases, and he did what he said he was going to do. So any lease that starts October 1, there'll be no freeze. He appointed his friends, I would say. The board said they acted independently. I do not believe that is the case. Even one member, Christina Smith, resigned because she said it was stacked. The Real Estate Board of New York says this is going to it's really going to kill the small landlords, John, and this is a very big concern because it's just going to be a ripple effect on New York because the insurance goes up, the labor goes up, the fuel goes up, the taxes goes up, and what happens to the small landlords? They're going to have to, if they don't make the repairs, then the city can impose fines. Eventually, they can take the buildings back from these small landlords, and that's called what? What is that called, John?
Communism.
Thank you. So that COPA will come back on the market they're going to try and pass that now. And what happens now when the rents get frozen, the net operating income becomes lower, the sales price gets lower, people can't make the repairs, so they return it to the bank, and then regional banks will, in New York you're going to see them start to close. I mean, I know this sounds very glim, but I think it's horrific. I think it's horrific, and I think it's a way to squeeze landlords, Jews, Christians out of New York City. It's a scare tactic, and it's working because, I can't even answer the calls I'm getting. I feel so bad for these small landlords. For 2 years, they can't, and he's forcing them to make the repairs. So you have a squatter in there. You got to make a repair for them. You can't raise their rent, or you can't collect any rent, and there's no reprieve for these small landlords. And the small landlords are the fabric of New York City. This is what New York City is made of. But it was pretty brilliant because he said he was going to do it. He got probably 2 million votes this way, and it went through. There was no question it wasn't being passed. And that's what I have to say.
Judge Weinberg?
Suzanne, you're absolutely correct. And when he created this entity to have hearings on bad landlords, that's to set up the propaganda machine to go out there and to get a constituency so that when they fail to make the repairs because they don't have the ability to make the repairs, to seize the buildings and then to... And
the city, who's going to take the buildings? The city's going to take the buildings. They're the worst landlords. They have NYCHA right now. There's rats.
The worst landlord in the entire city. Why doesn't he clean up that first?
Yeah.
Why does he...
It's on its way to socialism. Maybe communism. And my father was born in Leningrad, so I know about this. And you know what, John? It was brilliant because he said it and he did it, and that's how he won the election. And you know what you say? Fight, fight, fight. We're going to fight, fight, fight.
Suzanne, this happened. I don't think there's turning this back. I'm sure there's going to be legal action taken to try to reverse it, but it's happened. What do we do now? We have to live with it, right? We have Mondami's our mayor. He's not going anywhere.
You know what we have to do now, we have, these are 2 million votes, okay, maybe 3 million votes, but there's still 8 million people in the city. And those people have to stop being silent, because all of a sudden, when the bonds go down, when the people that are living in Florida and they still own their places in New York and they realize they're worth 50% on a dollar because banks won't lend in New York, you can't refinance, you can't take the money out. You're being penalized for the privilege of owning in New York a pied-à-terre tax. The privilege of owning. We need to get the 6 million people that are sitting on their ass to do something and vote.
Well, we saw that that's not happening because in the congressional race recently, 3 socialists won, and less than 10%. They won with less than 10% of the vote in their district. So, the 40 to 50 to 60-year-olds need to come out and vote. We agree with that. But what do you recommend now to those landlords, the small landlords that are going to be suffering the consequences? Because we can't keep complaining about it. We need to do something about it.
I totally agree with you. The only thing you can do is you can wake everybody up and realize this is, like he does. He goes and he marches and he gets all these votes. We need to combat it with people. The only way to do it is to get everybody on board. There's 6 million other people that probably do not agree with this.
And also,
and
Suzanne,
we have to get those people.
You understand what he just did out of City Hall. He's created an entity within City Hall, a community engagement group paid for by taxpayer dollars to go out there and radicalize the community and organize the community and have these staged demonstrations. He's doing that, too, with governmental money, taxpayer money.
Well, Richard, don't you think this is exactly what happened in Nazi Germany? This is exactly what happened with following it, except that what the people put their head in the sand. The only way people wake up is when it affects their own dollar. So we have to wake people up because there's going to be a reset of the real estate prices in New York. That's for sure. And you're not going to be able to take money out because the banks are not going to lend. And probably the small regional banks will even go out of business.
Remember, Suzanne, you remember Bronx? You don't remember, you're not old enough, burning. But Bronx is burning. What happened with Bronx burning? Why don't you tell the audience about that?
So I'm too young to
Well,
know
that was when...
That's when they abandoned the property. Landlords couldn't afford to maintain it.
Don't make her older than she is.
That's right. I apologize.
Exactly.
So as a 100-year-old man in this room, I apologize to you.
Suzanne, this is George Venizelos.
Hi, George.
I'm going to give you the other side why he got some of these votes. I have 2 kids that live in the city. One's looking for an apartment now. When you go look for an apartment for these kids now who are making $80,000 a year, out of college,
right.
You have 20 to 30 people looking at one apartment. Say an apartment's going for $4,500. That apartment will end up going for $5,500. That is totally out of control. It really is.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you brought that up because this is what's going to happen. If you have 1 million people that their rents are frozen, they're certainly not moving, which means you take 1 million apartments off the market. What happens to the market rate free apartments? Those go up because there's less supply. The less supply, the higher the rent. So now the rents are going to go higher.
Yeah. You know what else is happening? I looked at 3 apartments yesterday near the office here. All 3 couldn't sell. They're condos. So now they're renting them. And now there's bidding wars on the rent. So they're not, people are afraid to buy now in New York City because of this guy. So there's a lot of fear there. Why would I buy now?
Well, as an investor, why should I build more buildings?
Right.
Why should I build another apartment building in New York?
Especially when you can do it in Florida.
I mean, I do it in Florida where it's a free market.
Yeah, and we don't teach our kids supply and demand. Suzanne Miller, this is Jake Novak. Listen, but your other catchphrase, Suzanne, is never bet against New York. So let's look about this long term. Is this a buying opportunity? Now people believe this is not good, and maybe this is someone who has the finances and the patience.
Here's a buying opportunity because if you are looking for net operating income, and John, you just said you wouldn't build in New York, but if you build fair market price apartments, those prices are going to go up because people will need a place to live. The young kids are sharing. I'm finding people going into 1-bedrooms and putting walls up and getting $5,000, and they're all sharing. So if they want to be in New York, the free market apartments are going to go higher.
Right. And walk around New York these days. Maybe I'm getting older. It's young.
Listen,
it's getting younger.
I just hope that these landlords that are small are going to survive, and those that have a lot of money. Those that have a lot of money will survive because they can write off the losses, right? So, listen, I think that this is an opportunity for people that want to invest in New York, and it's a sad day for small real estate owners.
What happens is there might be a deflation in prices because if a building is worth $10 million, Well, maybe it's not worth $10 million because you have to deal with the politicians. So maybe it's worth $8 million. So,
John, it all comes down to the net operating income. So if I told you a building is $1 million and you have to freeze the rent and your expenses are more than the value, you're not buying it. You have to reset the price depending upon what your expenses are. And now he's mandating that you fix these buildings or he'll seize them. He's mandating. I know one landlord. Actually, he's a friend of mine. He owns buildings in the Bronx. They're taking his building.
Unbelievable.
They're actually taking his building.
Suzanne Miller, last question. How does this potentially affect positively? Forget about Florida for a second. What about, because we're talking about all these young people, George Venizelos' son. What about young people now looking at these neighborhoods in Westchester County, Nassau County, maybe in some cases Suffolk County, and some parts of New Jersey that are on a train line that they can get to the city? Listen, there's some parts of Manhattan that take more than 30 minutes to get from one part to the other. So if will this positively affect the rental real estates and the condos in Westchester, Nassau, Suffolk County, and some of these, and like Bergen County?
Well, I could just tell you that I was looking in Greenwich just because I was, looking at Plan B, and the prices are up by 100%, 70%. It's insane what's happening outside of New York. So yes, I think it's going to, as long as there's a direct train line, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, Roslyn, Connecticut, those places will do very well.
Jersey City and
I'm
Hoboken
still not betting against New York. What?
Jersey City and Hoboken are the same price as Manhattan now.
Yeah. So it depends on where you find it. Fernando Mateo, you just ruined his future plans. He was thinking about
No. I can afford it. Yeah, Suzanne, if you find a good deal for me in Greenwich, let me know.
Good luck with that. Let me know. Suzanne Miller, we got to take a break.
This is my advice to your listeners. If you want to buy in New York, just make a low offer and you'll get what you want.
I'm talking about Greenwich.
Suzanne, we love you. Thank you so much for coming on, and keep fighting for New York.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?